Hello and welcome to another video. This one is a little example, more like an excuse to really talk about a Python library that I believe deserves a bit more attention. So imagine you have a situation like this one, like you have a sequence, in this case a string, but it could be any iterable really, and let's say you want to keep the unique elements that are in this string, but you want to keep them in the exact order in which they appeared. So the first kind of naive attempt would be to turn that into a set, and just because of how sets work in Python, that basically would not work because the order is not guaranteed to be kept, and as we see, the output is pretty much always completely scrambled. And so what we could do is iterate manually through the sequence, and we could keep track of the unique elements that we've seen so far in a list, for example, and then we could just say, okay, if the character is not yet in this list of unique elements we've seen so far, we're gonna put it in there. We could wrap this into a little function that we call unique-everseen. It's just like the unique-everseen elements within the sequence we are kind of analyzing, or we are extracting the unique elements, and we return that list. So if we call that on our original sequence, we will see that that basically works. It does exactly the job. The order is preserved, and for example here the L appears only once because the second time around, well, it was already there. So whenever you're doing something like this where you iterate through things and add a little bit of logic like that, you might want to take a look at the itertools module in the standard Python library, in the Python standard library, but the one that I wanted to talk about today is called Moreitertools. So this one does not belong to the Python standard library, so you will have to pip install it. It's called Moreitertools. It's basically a bunch of extensions and functionalities, and so Moreitertools, we can import the package. I have it already installed in my machine. Happens to have a function that is exactly the one that we want. So we can pass our sequence to the function. It will return a generator, so we need to make a list out of that, kind of to evaluate the generator and collect the output, and we see that it basically does exactly what we wanted. And that was basically the little example that I wanted to show you. As a general kind of tip, the implementations both in itertools and Moreitertools tend to be more efficient than the ones that you might come up with on the fly. We can see that if we sort of quickly benchmark it here. We're gonna test our implementation versus the Moreitertools version, and just for the sake of seeing a bit of a larger difference, we're going to make this string a bit larger, and so if we run them both with a timer, we will see that our version takes like 63 microseconds on average, while the Moreitertools, sorry, this is not really equivalent, this is equivalent. The itertools version in this case is 2.5 times faster or something like that. So that was basically it, and I just wanted to encourage you to take a look at the itertools and the Moreitertools, the itertools package and the Moreitertools project. There are a bunch of pretty useful little functions that you might want to use in different situations. So that was it. I hope you learned something, and thank you for watching.